This is going to be the last How to Do Your 20s podcast I ever do. And if you're listening to the Effective E-Commerce podcast, the background is I have been doing for about 5 years the How to Do Your 20s podcast. I'm going to be turning 30 on Sunday, so this is the last episode I do. And this episode is going to be about 20-something things I wish I knew when I was in my early 20s. And I'm going to be having a friend on who will be joining me in just a second, Jordan, and he's been on a number of the How to Do Your 20s podcasts, so he's like a nice person to talk to. You'll get to meet him in just a second. So let's get into it and all the lessons I learned in my 20s that I wish I would have known earlier. Welcome to the last episode of the How to Do Your 20s podcast. So for anyone that's just joining, I've been doing this podcast since I was probably 25. I'm going to be turning 30 on Sunday, so by the time this is released, I'll be 30. So I figured it's time to cut it. This is Jordan. This is my buddy Jordan. He's been on a ton of the How to Do Your 20s podcast. I think he was one of the first guests, I think like episode 3 or 4 or something like that. You want to introduce yourself just for anyone?
Yeah, I feel like I vibed and resonated with the How to Do Your 20s podcast concept from the get-go, because I feel like I've been trying to figure out how to do it in my 20s, even still, now that I'm 30. And I've always been a believer that if you're exploring in your life in general, you keep exploring different realms, not just what you think you're into, or I'm an artist, so I'll explore painting, writing, drawing. No, explore everything, business, art, travel, everything. That the more opportunities you find presented to yourself. And that's how I've lived my life, and I do a plethora of things and activities with my time, which we will probably get into.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. So the reason I started the How to Do Your 20s podcast, honestly, it had nothing to do with being in my 20s. It was just, I needed to niche down, but I wanted a niche where I could talk about anything. And so I'm like, all right, in your 20s, it's kind of this time of self-exploration, but everything I talked about, it's going to apply in my 30s, 40s. I mean, there's certain things maybe that wouldn't apply once I have kids, but everything I wanted to talk about was just stuff that's still going to apply to me.
And 30. It's interesting to me because I also listen to your podcast, not like every single episode religiously, but here and there I listened to quite a few over the years. Yeah. And I actually benefited a lot from a lot of them.
Oh, that's good.
From all the ones I heard, I learned something new. But it's interesting just how now that you're kind of forgive me for assuming, you're kind of focusing more on your entrepreneurial side of everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of you at the heart. I feel like that's been there the whole time. Even like the last episodes of How to Do Your 20s, it's all like how to do e-commerce, and you kind of just have segued into your e-commerce stuff.
The funny thing is, it's been more successful with the podcast. The Effective E-Commerce is like the new podcast I have, and that has 71 iTunes reviews over the course of like a year. How to Do Your 20s, I did for 3 or 4 years, or maybe even longer, and 130 episodes, and it had like 31 or 36 reviews. And that was kind of when I realized, like, okay, and it didn't make any money. Effective E-Commerce has made, well, because I have the YouTube channel as well, it makes good money for me.
From ad revenue?
So the podcast, not necessarily a ton of money, but the YouTube channel, I'll say I make probably about $3,000 a month, like super easy. I have some courses I make money from, ad revenue, and affiliate commission as well.
And so that $3,000 a month is mainly from YouTube views?
I make $500 a month off of like ad revenue.
Okay.
Oh, it stems from YouTube. So for instance, I'll have an affiliate, like I'll teach people how to start an online store. Step number 3 is sign up for Shopify, which I do. It's not like I'm pushing anything that I don't believe in.
And they're using your code.
They use my code, and then I make some money from that. I sell the courses, and most people find out about the courses from the YouTube channel, some probably from the podcast as well. So I want to get to the topic of today. Today's topic is going to be basically 21 tips for your 20s. And this is not necessarily have to be in your 20s. Honestly, I wrote down 21 tips of lessons learned, like the biggest lessons learned over the last 10 years, I guess, that I learned in my 20s. And Jordan's obviously going to share his. We're going to kind of go back and forth, and I wrote down some specifically that I know you're going to disagree with, because, not necessarily disagree with, but you have a different interpretation on. So I think that's important to know.
So you wrote 21 of them?
I did. I wrote 21, yeah. But But some of them, we can kind of go as we go, and
Yeah, I might have some too to throw in.
No, please do.
Can we go above
30?
29?
We'll go with
30.
30 tips or 29 tips before you're, or 30 tips before you're 30. So I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. So, actually, is there anything you want to say before we jump into
No,
this?
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So my first lesson learned, and this is something we kind of talked about before the podcast, is being grateful. And this is something I feel like you hear it all the time, like be grateful, blah, blah, yeah, like, but what does that mean? And like gratitude, you always hear that kind of stuff, like gratitude is the key to, and you hear the secret.
And you get so sick of hearing it.
Yes.
Until
you realize like how important it is and how it works. So the story I told you, and I might tell a few other little stories as well. The story I told Jordan before we started was after my Italy trip, actually, I realized, I really want better friendships. I want better relationships. And constantly I complain that I don't have enough good friendships. I have a little bit here and there, but I wanted more of those high quality friendships. And for me, a mark of what I wanted, like I wanted a tribe, but not just good friendships. I wanted a tribe. Yeah, that's a big thing for me. And so I thought, all right, I'd love to get dinner once a week with some friends, like a group of like 4 or 5 like guys, and just like, we're hanging out, having conversation. And so I'd constantly over the past few years been like, I wish I had this, I wish I had this. And then for me, a few weeks ago, I switched into, I'm going to be grateful for what I do have. Because I do have some really good friendships, you included, and like all these friendships around even Santa Monica, it's not exactly what I want, but instead of saying, man, I wish this was better, just being like, just being
nitpicking.
Just being like so grateful that I have even this, because there's a lot of people that have nobody. And then a few days, literally 2 or 3 days after I switch this mindset, because I'll do meditation and then I do gratitude. Like I'm just like express gratitude for all these different things. And as soon as I started doing that, or 2 or 3 days later, ended up having a bunch of friends like meet up, and we got a group dinner, we went for a hike, and it became this regular thing. And it was just weird. And there's been multiple instances of this. I'm trying to think of the one before, but I'll stop.
Something, sorry to interject,
no, please.
When you say you want to have a tribe, one reason I've always been really into going to the Big Island is because I feel like in this one area I spend my time, it's my tribe. Yeah. And it's just like there's the people, there's essentially a common ground with everyone along a certain degree, but you can never know what to expect, which some people, that doesn't work with everyone, but it felt like my tribe. And I've also started to interpret coming out of my 20s into my 30s, how my mindset's shifting into more like stabilization techniques, and like in this life now I'm ready to kind of stabilize. In your 20s I feel like you're supposed to just be all over the place, and then now I'm coming into like what I've learned, and it's like packaging itself. I'm becoming like a zip file of me, ready to export to the world. But and part of that is I want a village. And that village, that tribe, is if I have kids, every single one of them I'd be comfortable with being around my children at any time. Where I don't really go with the model of mother, father, child, that's it. I'm pretty much into village raising, where you got your mother, sure, you got your father, but everyone's family, everyone's uncle. A lot of indigenous cultures are like that. But I think in a way we're all kind of searching for that. So how have you, because you move around a lot. That it's fucking hard as hell, man. It's like a curse, because I live this blessed life, going back to gratitude. I live a beautiful life, a really cool life. And I catch myself all the time. Like, I'm an American, I'm a Southern Californian, and not to rip on my culture, but we are kind of a Westerner. We are kind of brought up to be like, to complain, to whinge, as they say in Australia, where I've been.
Really?
Yeah, we're kind of.
I don't disagree, but
complain. We don't have that gratitude mindset from the get-go. And I think there are certain parents, like I've met people throughout my journeys that had hippie parents or whatever, that instilled in them these gratitude, ideas, even if it was just unconsciously. But that didn't happen to me, and not to rip on my parents, because everyone's on their own journey. But that gratitude thing, man, it's a life changer. And once you start recognizing what you do have, everything you always wanted when you were busy bitching and moaning suddenly comes around, and you're just grateful for it, instead of like, well, about fucking time.
Interesting. I think a lot of times you realize that what you already have actually is pretty awesome. For instance, for me with the friends, I realized, oh, I do kind of have this tribe, but I've been like, no, I don't want to hang out with, like, it's not good enough and whatever. And then by switching to, oh, this kind of, these friends that I have that maybe aren't as deep relationships as I want, by being really grateful for them, I'm like, I want to spend more time. And I think they want to spend more time with me because it's like, oh, it's really fun when we hang out. Versus before, there was this sense of like, well, this isn't exactly the perfect kind of friendship. And same thing happened for me, actually. So this, I don't think we've talked about this, but so I hit my financial goal. I've wanted $300 a day passive income has been what I've wanted since I quit my job 5 years ago. Like that's been all I've wanted.
Holy shit.
And I hit that in January. And every month I've been hitting $300 a day passive income. And up until like a few months ago, it wasn't real to me. And I was just like, well, it's not enough and this and that. But then I started slowing down and saying, okay, well, I need to be grateful for what I have. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I have what I want. Like this is, because then there comes in this fear of, well, what happens if it goes away? You know? And then once I started being grateful for, oh my God, like I'm hitting this $300 a day, quote unquote passive income.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was and so another funny thing to me, this is probably one of the lessons learned somewhere, is the last, not this year, but I think 2017, 2016, my goal was $150,000, to make that $150,000. This year, I'm like, you know what, that's stupid. Because for the last 2016, 2017, I didn't hit that number, and I would just like pull my hair out, like I want to hit this number that's just total arbitrary thing. And so this year, I'm like, you know what, my goal is to just do the work. Meaning, like, I'm just going to do the best I can. Like, I know what I need to get done. Be unattached from the outcome, I guess is what I should say.
And you enjoy it, right?
I do.
It's your art.
Yes.
Making money is your art.
It has become, 100%. We probably have talked about that, but it switches what kind of art I make. Like, Performance Nut Butter was my art, but now it's not as rewarding as it was previously in a lot of ways, where my YouTube channel is more rewarding. Like right now, that's really exciting me.
Why is that? Because you're busy creating for your YouTube channel all the time?
Yeah,
P&B is kind of done.
Well, the reason is P&B hit the goal. Like I thought it was going to take me, I didn't think I was going to be making $300 a day passive income.
Is that all from
That's Performance Nut Butter, not including the money I made from the YouTube channel. Yeah. And I'm sure there's probably things that I'm forgetting, and maybe if I did all the calculations, but it's almost exactly $300 a day passive income, which is crazy.
Is just what you want. It's trippy, right?
Yeah. It's extra trippy because it kind of happened, not overnight, but in a lot of ways, yes. Like it went from, I launched it in Amazon in November, and then January it started hitting $300 a day. And so for me, there wasn't a lot of motivation to be like, all right, well now let's take it to $1,000 a day, because it's just like, no, it's doing what I want it to do.
We were having this conversation in the car on the way up because, like, people I know that are close to me, I won't name names or relationships, but, you know, they know that the infinite potential of life is before them, and they can shoot for $1 million, you know, of a fortune, or they can shoot for 100K. Either way, they know that either of those goals would mean success in their eyes. They get to do what they love and what they were born to do every day. Yeah. So looking at it, and I'm really proud of this person because they're a lot younger than me too, is they realize like they don't need to go for $1 million. What it's about doing. It's about it's about doing what you enjoy along the way.
Well, and you might be the first person to talk about. One thing that I've been struggling with a little bit is Performance Nut Butter is just it made so much money so easily that I know if I put all my energy into it, I could turn it into $1 million, like $1 million, like $1 million a year.
Dude, I still can't believe I don't see it in Whole Foods.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking can't stand these fucking brands. I see it Whole Foods. I'm a big nut butter guy.
Oh, yeah.
I survive off of nut butters.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can't find what you have created and developed, you know, for the world in a Whole Foods in California drives me crazy.
Interesting. I haven't even tried to get it, and it makes me a little bit nervous specifically to get into Whole Foods because I don't know how much you know about like cash flow and all that kind of stuff, but you know, it cost me $30,000 to do a production run, and I don't get paid if I were to do Whole Foods. I don't get paid until 30 days after they receive it. And so if all of a sudden, let's say tomorrow they said, hey, you know, we need, I don't know, 10,000 boxes. I don't have the money for that. And if they, or let's say they needed enough where I did have the boxes, and then I sent it to them, and they said, okay, great, we just got that. Now we need another 10,000 boxes.
Yeah.
Like, I just
so
don't
you
have
need to
the
work
cash.
your way up if you decide to take that route.
Yeah, and,
Right.
and I've heard mixed things from different people because the truth is, what I got going on right now is really Amazon takes care of everything.
They do.
Yeah,
It's great, huh?
Yeah, they do the shipping, they handle the customer issues, returns, pretty much everything. I mean, and they're also the marketing platform for me. And so this is where my conundrum is do I blow up Performance Nut Butter, or do I do, it's a little bit more complex. Like, I'm really excited about the YouTube channel. In about my plan is in 6 months to release a course teaching people what I did with Performance.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I want to
follow you, man.
I guess, thank you. Yeah. And it's like, so which one do I want to focus on? And the way I've tackled this, I'll just tell you, is every Tuesday, I made an exception for this Tuesday. Every Tuesday I work on Performance Nut Butter, which ties into the YouTube channel because I'm vlogging about it. So it's like, hey, this week, for instance, today I'm working on email marketing. And so it's like, okay, today I'm working on email marketing, but then the other days of the week I'm working on the YouTube channel, working on the course. But there's this split mindset of me. Do I work on what really excites me and what I'm really passionate about? Or do I work on the thing that I know could, with very little effort, can make a lot of money?
Well, I think we go through the same kind of thing, or we're going through the same kind of thing, just with completely different projects. Like, to rewind a bit, my goal, I've never been a guy about, oh my God, I gotta make all this money. Like, number goals, like what? I don't have those. Although I started doing pull-ups again, because I've just done yoga for so long, and pull-ups have been a good way to quantify my growth.
Yeah.
And it kind of like dawned on me one stoned afternoon, like, this is actually cool. It's a cool way to measure progress, numbers. Like, it was this big epiphany. But yeah, so I would say my success, my $300 a day comes from, I no longer have to think about where my next paycheck comes from or where my next money comes from.
Yeah.
I never run out. I always get gigs doing what I enjoy.
It's awesome.
For the most part. And when they're not what I enjoy, enough money comes in to make it okay.
Yeah.
And I'm also learning to delegate.
Yeah.
Learning very swiftly, because at a certain point, suddenly all this work comes in that I actually can't even handle all of it. And so if I don't want to delegate, I just can't do the work.
Yeah.
And then there's also part of me that's very lazy. So it's work I could do, I just don't want to do it, I'd rather delegate. And even if I just skim a little off the top, I'd rather do that than just do the work myself and make that extra money. But so that kind of part of me, that CEO side, is coming out, which makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to see the numbers in the same way, to get that hit. Though I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm transitioning more into that, because I feel like quantification can be a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And I've worked so hard on my spiritual side for so long. I'm kind of like, all right, I'm ready to put that into practice in the material world and see what I can make happen. And so I've been starting to do that, and I'm starting to watch the results become very real. Yeah. And so going back to gratitude, I have to be really grateful for, if you asked me when I was 17, what do you want to do with your life? I'd be like, I want to be a filmmaker. Yeah. Would you want to travel, or what would you want to do? Yeah, I would want to travel, and I'd probably want to meet cool people. That's exactly what my life is.
Yeah.
And so now, it's my first gig, like I told you, going somewhere to document a legal marijuana operation, getting paid to travel, getting paid to make films, which is my art, and I love weed. And I believe in it. I think it'll save the planet. Yeah. So it fits all my spheres, spiritually, morally, everything. Yeah. So that to me is the ultimate success and the gratitude, and I think I had a similar moment of wow, I'm reaching my $300 a day.
Yeah.
This is it.
Congratulations to you, dude. That's awesome.
You.
Yeah. So there's one of the lessons learned that I shared there was delegating. Actually, I'm sure that's somewhere on my list over here.
Upwork versus Fiverr.
I've been doing that for a few years specifically. I have a full-time, it sounds like you kind of have at least a part-time or a regular virtual assistant. And I just hired my second virtual assistant, which I wouldn't be able to do a third of what I do without my VAs, because it's this video I'm going to record in the podcast, I'm just going to upload the files to him. He's going to work his magic, and it's not super hard stuff, but he's been editing some of my videos. He's better than me now. Yeah. And he didn't know how to do any video editing when he started. I taught him, and he taught himself from scratch. So that's been a big thing. But
That's cool. I haven't worked with virtual assistants mainly because I've needed really specific realms of expertise.
But you kind of are. I mean, the guy that you have in Sri Lanka or whatever. Like
He's good for back-end development. Then this other guy's good for front-end, for like Adobe InDesign publication documents. This other guy's good for front-end UI, UX, CSS stuff.
Yeah.
And then this other girl is good for this. And then this other guy's good for doing my closed captions.
Okay.
You know? So it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But at some stage, we feel better because this one guy I really trust, for example, you know, instead of just doing closed captions, I love if he could just do everything.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he could.
Yeah.
It's more about him than it is his resume.
And he'd probably charge less if you hired him like full time, and then it's easier for you. Because that's one thing I found is it's
just send it over.
Yeah, because then it becomes too much like coordination on your part, too much work.
That's what I'm learning too, is about kind of boundaries. Well, in a relationship level, like having a partner that requires me to spend time with her, like that's what the relationship is, right? But me, I'm like, no, I'm so busy working, I've got so much to do. And kind of not having boundaries where I don't just set aside a certain time of day to delegate and then do my work. And I'm kind of just there all the time because these people are in different time zones and there's deadlines, and I'm just kind of like scattered. And I'm learning if I want to make something like this work, I got to make more boundaries.
Interesting. So let's talk relationships then. I mean, how has because you have a girlfriend right now or what?
A partner.
Yeah,
in a partnership.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year, which is essentially the longest straightforward relationship I've ever been in. I was in a pretty deep one when I was like 23, 24, but it kind of was off and on. And I was also very dishonest and kind of just I was in a dark place in my life back then. I think kind of most people are. Sometime in your 20s you go through your like, you know, the valley of the shadow of death, right? Your darkness, and you have to in order to come out. And
I was gonna say I think the good ones do. I think the people. No offense to anybody out there, but if you just are in a corporate job and your goal is to retire and when you're 65, maybe you don't. Maybe it's just like maybe it's all darkness.
Well, I think for sake of your demographic too, who's watching this, like I think we all understand things a bit different than our grandfathers and even our fathers. We're starting to see that we do need to have a balance in life. Like I look at my little brother, he's 23, he just gets it. And I'm like, dude, I've worked so hard spiritually, meditating, this and that, to get it. And he just has it naturally.
Really?
So it's like, so I feel like energetically a lot of us do the work to figure out the tools, but then these new generations are just born with it. I don't even mean 20 years from now, I mean 5 years from now.
Wow.
Yeah, and it starts to just come out as society. It's really trippy, really. But relationships, going back to gratitude. I'm someone that, I'm kind of esoteric and astrological in a sense. Like, I'm not wired to spend a lot of time with someone all the time. I'm wired to have relationships everywhere that are fairly, like, superficial, but I can go deep when it's time and appropriate. But as far as spending all day together, traveling with someone, living with someone, like, it's been a challenge.
Oh yeah.
And I've learned, she's learned too, we got to be grateful. Like, because when something's challenging you, it's actually making you work and learn about yourself. And maybe there comes a certain point where you're like, okay, this is no longer a good use of my time.
Sure.
But like until that point, you got to be grateful for the things that drive you crazy. And that's kind of can be the hardest thing to do, especially when you're intimate with someone and you're just like deep there and you got to trust each other. And
it's interesting because I feel like you have a very different feel about relationships than I do in a lot of ways, because I kind of found the opposite for me, because I've been pushing away people for a long time in the sense of most of my life, pretty much all my 20s I dated a decent amount, didn't have a serious girlfriend up until Ariana, which was 2 or 3 years ago, whatever that was, and we took a break for a year while she was traveling, but I guess I kind of pushed people away because I'm like, I want to do it on my own. Like, I don't need people. There's a lot of reasons.
I feel like I'm still pushing her away in a lot of ways, which is what gives me struggle, which is also what lets me know I got to be grateful for this because I'm learning more about myself.
Well, but where I was going with that is that, and this is one of my lessons learned, I'm sure I phrased it differently, is since dating her, it made life a lot easier. And way, way, way easier. And the phrase that I use, and this is like, if I were to write a book, this would be one of my top 3 like points that I want to make, especially for younger generations, is limit your variables. I don't know if have we talked about this before.
No, but it sounds like it's right up your alley also of boundaries. And I imagine you have a regimented workday schedule,
Yeah.
which includes like, okay, now it's relationship time.
Sure.
Which when I'm really busy, because I'm traveling all the time and I don't have that routine and schedule, which I think we talked about before we started,
Yeah.
I am all over the fucking place to get everything done that I don't always prioritize the relationship like is respectable, I suppose.
Yeah. I think even further on that, to me, I was trying to focus on, for a long time, where do I want to live? Who do I want to be friends with? Who do I want to date? How do I want to make money? And it's like, that's too many things. And instead, what I realized, what's really helped me is when I'm like, okay, I'm going to move to Santa Monica, boom, I've got that out of the way. Like, I don't have to think anymore of where do I want to live, because I was moving around so much.
Yeah.
And then I kind of figured out a little, and I think, then I'm like, all right, Ariana, like, I want to date you. And then it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to go on Tinder anymore. I don't have to, like, there's no pressure of, oh, I should be going to the bars tonight. Because that was a big thing for me. It's like,
meet someone.
Yeah. Like,
get attention somehow.
Yeah.
That's how it felt for me, yeah.
And it's tough for me because my business wasn't where I wanted it to be. And at the same time, I was trying to attract women, even though I didn't feel successful, which is a recipe for disaster. And so for me, by being like, okay, now I've got a girlfriend, we can enjoy each other, and like, you know, I'll be there for her, obviously, but I don't need to try to be at my peak and go to the club and be, you know, go get drunk so I can meet a girl, and which hinders my work life. So then it's like, Santa Monica, dating Ariana, and then Performance Nut Butter. I'm like, okay, Performance Nut Butter. And I don't think I wouldn't have been able to start Performance Nut Butter. It wouldn't have been as successful if it wasn't for her. Like, because she gave me that stability. She also helped me with it. And now it's starting to be friends. And it's like, okay, I've got all these other areas of my life handled. I want good friends. Like, let's actually, on a Wednesday night, instead of going out to meet girls, I'm like, let's go to a networking, not a networking event, that's the wrong word, but, you know, like some kind of event where there is other people that I might be interested in, like, hanging out with. So
socializing. Limiting
your variables. And it goes back to math. Like, if you ever solve, like, multivariable problems, you have to solve one variable at a time. Like A plus B equals 7, and 2A plus 2B equals 8. You have to solve for A and then plug it in, and that's really, I think, how I look at life in a lot of ways. Because otherwise, it was like playing Yahtzee, where I was just like, I'm gonna live in Colombia. I'm gonna do a How to Do Your 20s podcast, and I'm gonna date this girl. And I'm like, no, I'm not happy. Okay, let's try it again. Let's go to Miami, and, you know, roll the dice constantly.
It's powerful to have that foundation. I think, especially because I don't really believe someone needs someone else to be whole, like my better half or whatever. No, I don't believe that. But I do believe the metaphor of man and woman create life. You know, you can look at that very realistically, or you can use it metaphorically, like a Shakti Shiva Hindu type deal, where you have
what that is, but
you have a divine feminine, and you have a god and a goddess. Okay. If you were to just look at everything as a duality, there's not just one masculine god. There's a masculine god and a feminine god. And so those come together in the form of us, and then suddenly, not just babies popping out, if should you choose that, but babies in the form of Performance Nut Butter.
Yeah.
You know, projects. It doesn't even mean collaborations. It just means that it's kind of the fruit of that union. That's what I mean by the metaphor of it. So I think there's books about this too. Like Leonard Schlein is a good author about this kind of thing. But and that's also Tantra, the traditional study of Tantra. It's the union of these two sides. And when that happens in life, it's like a garden growing. You know, it's like the water meets the earth, or the sun meets the earth, and then that happens. So, you know, I never kind of thought of that. I was, I can be alone. It's fine. You know, like we have both of those in us. You know, but I don't know. From everyone I'm meeting, saying similar things, and then even from my perspective, I feel like, wow, no, I feel like there's a lot more stability and grounding.
It helps so much because as far as like divine feminine, divine masculine, I'm very much the masculine energy of like go, 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 like logical. She's very much the feminine. And having Ariana, one of the big things, she's like this like soft, sweet side of me that enjoys life. And I find like honestly, and I find myself wanting to get upset at her because I'm like, for instance, we're working on Vino cards. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Oh yeah.
You've heard about everything. Okay. So
in fact, if I may say something, I started following her on Instagram so I could learn more because I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I never could figure. I could never learn about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna see. So this is an example where I've been kind of.
You hyped it up, and I was like, how do I learn about it?
Yeah. So this is a great example. So for me, it's like I'm like, you need to work more. You need to do all this stuff. And she's like, well, I just want to enjoy life. And I find myself getting frustrated at her, and I have to stop and think. I get frustrated at myself for these same things. In fact, I'm 10 times harder on myself than I am on her, but it's this good kind of mirror for me to see how I treat myself, because she'll be like, oh, well, I didn't do that thing because I was doing something I really enjoy and I was having fun. I kind of joke with her, like, she'll go around smelling flowers and just like in a cloud, where I'm like, no, you're here, you need to get here.
Yeah. And
so it's good for me to see when I get really upset at her, she kind of takes it and she's like, oh, that, like that hurts. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, so that's been part of experiencing the feminine.
It's, well, not to be corny, but that's like a true like sacred relationship, right? Where there's enough in common for you to spend your life together for whatever moment it is. Mm-hmm. But then, you recognize that the things that drive you, that you crazy about them is a mirror about you. You're like, oh, well, I'm not smelling the flowers enough, or I'm not enjoying life enough. And that goes down to brain science, You technically have a masculine and feminine side of your brain. The left side of your brain is very analytical, focused. The right side of your brain is very like chaotic and artistic and just in the flow. Yeah. And I think, the true goal for anyone that probably should be to just find a balance where you're creating and chilling. They say that's like the Eastern way. Always working, always relaxing.
Yeah, and that's actually another one of my lessons learned, is like kind of that yin yang, which it's been really great having her for that, is realizing, hey, every once in a while, it's okay just to do nothing. Like, it's okay, like for instance, there was a Saturday, keep in mind, this is not a work day, but I felt like, we should be doing stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's a nice enough day out, like, let's go to the museum, let's go do this, let's go do that. But it wasn't like we couldn't really find anything we really wanted to do, and she's like, let's just like watch a movie. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, what? Daytime. Yeah, I'm like, exactly. I'm like, it's daytime. We can't just go into the bedroom and watch a movie. She's like, yeah, we can. And it blew my mind.
That was recently?
It was probably about a year ago. But like, stuff like this continues to happen. The other day, on Friday actually, we went to the movie theaters in the middle of a Friday. And Friday's, a work day for me. And it was kind of like this thing of, this is really nice. Recently I've been going to the beach more, embracing the feminine side of me.
Saw that on your story.
Okay, yeah. And that's been... I feel bad. I put way more content on Instagram than I consume, but I'll
Well, it's funny because I don't keep Instagram on my phone. I just download it a few times a week when I'm bored or I need to hit, because it's so bad for productivity, and I'm done posting. As I don't want to hijack the conversation here, but
yeah, go for it.
I'm just taking myself away from all of it, for various reasons. But every time I download it, it shows like my few favorites that the algorithm knows, and you're always up there, so I just get to like go through all the stuff it says that you posted.
Well, that's awesome.
That's why I'm up to date, yeah.
Any advice? Because you used to do a lot of Snapchat stuff.
Yeah, we can go back to that in a sec, because I could talk about perception travel, which also has led me through my theories, but I just want to say one more thing about the girls chilling thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's part of some of the, I want to say resistance, because it's on that card game right there, but that's some of the tension that there's been with me and my partner lately, is because I'm just not chilling enough. That's straight up what it is. Mm-hmm. And what's funny though is like, she's what helps me chill. Yeah. And normally a combination of, like smoking some weed and then going to hang out with her, I'm good for hours. I don't even think about work, Sure. But if I'm not totally enveloped in her, then I'm just like thinking about other things. Like, I can't even watch a movie and chill. I'm like, no, there's other stuff to do. Yeah. But you mentioned, we can just go in the room and watch a movie. Wait, what? Like, that kind of thing this is where everything gets tricky, and this is where one day I'll write a book. But I think everything's very phasal as well. Like, it goes through these kind of modulations of time. Sure. Where, like, for example, I have every 2 weeks, I go 2 weeks that are very kind of like psychic. They're very, not psychic like I can read minds, but they're very in my head. Okay. And then 2 weeks that are very physical. And it comes out in my body, it comes out in my thoughts, in my art, it comes out in all these ways. And so I relate it to the moon cycle, but relate to whatever you want. I have 2 weeks where I work harder, my diet's very different, I need more food, I have more energy, and then I have 2 weeks where I have to chill more. And if I have any expectation of myself, I just crash. And
which week is it right now?
it's starting the 2 weeks. It's transitioning. Today is literally going into the head space and from the physical.
So less work and more.
Not even play, just more chill.
More chill.
More, yeah.
It's interesting. Today was one of those days, because like I said, Tuesdays are supposed to be like a work day for me, but I've been like, I'm not feeling it today.
And that's what I was meaning to get at, is like one thing I've really fucking nailed in my life of just floating, yet still having missions and things to complete, is just learning, like, if you're not feeling like it, don't do it.
This is the central struggle.
Because then it's not good quality either.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's true. For me, and I'm assuming for you in your earlier years, definitely for me, a lot of my successes have come from pushing through. It's like, you don't feel like doing it? Too bad. Go run stairs.
Right. Well, we grew up playing fucking football.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a patriarchal society. Yeah.
Sure.
It's a total deprogram.
Yeah.
Deprogramming.
So now you flow with it a little bit more.
I flow with it so hardcore, but I think there was something about, we've been visiting LA for now almost a month. So we've been in a different space, and I've had some projects. Like I have this client that he's a great guy, but and sometimes it reminds me of how I am when I'm hiring freelancers.
Okay.
Because I'm the freelancer in this circumstance. It's like this workshop video that was shot very poorly, and it needs subtitles, and it's 2.5 hours long. It's a big project. And then out of nowhere, I'll be like, oh, I forgot this section. And this is after I bulk automated the CC, this closed captions with this guy. Yeah. So it's just like, it just adds on, and it's begun to stress me out because I want it to be done before I leave for South America. Yeah. Because I don't know if I'm gonna have bandwidth to upload a 2.5 hour movie file. Anyway, so it's kind of been stressing me out more to have all this work as of the last few weeks. But yeah, these kind of weeks where I notice where what I feel like doing is working. And during that time, especially when I'm stable somewhere, I try to be stable during those 2 weeks because that's how I can be the most productive.
Right.
Have a routine with exercise, with art, like know that I have to do music at some part in the day. I have to work on this during the day, I have to work on this during the day, I have to exercise twice a day, cook a meal. And if I get all those done, I'm the most productive ever. For a good 2, even 3 weeks, it can trickle out. But then suddenly it'll come where I'm like, I need to not do anything I've been doing. I need to just go. I did this in Australia because we were living separately because she was house sitting and I was doing a work thing at someone's house. Yeah. I would just jump on the bus, go take the train somewhere. I had so much work to do, but I was like, I can't do it today. And I just knew if I just jump out of my comfort zone, jump out of my routine, something would spark and get me stoked. And sure enough, something would spark and get me stoked.
So okay, I'll use this as like a consulting session for living in the flow. What do I do? What do you do when you start feeling that? Is it just start traveling?
Not to like be I don't even know what the term would be, but not to be corny also. Yeah. But you have a great tool, sitting in the other room in the form of your companion, your female companion. Yeah. I hate to say it in this context because we're talking about product. I don't hate to say it. It's not a very grateful word, but sex is a tool. It brings you, if you think about activating that part of your body, everything else kind of goes away. Once you're activated down there, you're like, well, yeah, let's do this, Okay. And whether you go through the act of sex and orgasm, or you just activate that energy and meditate on it and you let it go through you, it changes your whole vibe. You know what I mean? I think that's why everyone loves weed. You smoke weed, it just changes your whole vibe. Everything about your day is just done. Yeah. And you might want to exercise now. When I like, for example, I'll know, man, exercising will be really good for me right now, yoga, but I'm just feeling gross or I'm feeling kind of depressed or whatever it is. Yeah. I'll smoke weed and I'll do those things without a second thought. But I have this resistance if I don't smoke weed. It's really bizarre. And I know I'm a unique case because some people just smoke weed to be lazy, which is also cool. But it's a complete vibe change that sometimes I think you need. So I think a woman is a complete vibe change, especially one that you're close with, intimate with, you trust each other, you live together,
So the answer is just sex?
No. Do what you feel like doing. So, you need to be productive. You don't feel like doing that. That's not coming out right. Sometimes, this, go exercise, go on a run. Sure. You already know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's weird, but yeah, I like binge watching a TV show one afternoon. Like, for example, it'll be like noon, which is normally when I start working, because I spend 3 hours in the morning doing yoga. I'll start working around noon, and then I'll just be like, I'm just not feeling like it today. Yeah. And I'll just sit down and watch TV. Yeah. And I'll keep my laptop out and just work on something mundane that maybe takes time. Maybe something I'm learning. Okay. Like I've been learning a lot of front-end coding lately, which I enjoy doing. It feels like a waste of time because I could hire someone to do it quicker. Yeah. But as an artist, I like to do it. So I'll sit and watch House of Cards while I'm just kind of learning new techniques slowly, no expectations of myself. Sure. And then when I can't fucking stand the piece of shit media in front of me anymore that's just clogging my brain, I shut it off and suddenly I'm super inspired either on what I'm working on or to do something different. So you got to trust that that time will come. Yeah. But here's what I alluded to earlier is if you allow that to just be like, oh, I'm in the mood to watch TV now. Fuck it, I'll watch TV. Then it could subtract from your time later, which is meant for girlfriend time. Or you're like, oh, I'm finally feeling inspired to work on something. Oh, totally. It also goes with the phases, right? Maybe different times of the day you're feeling the most jazzed about something. Like the 9 to 5 thing, it works for corporate in industry. Sure. But I don't think it's who we are as creative beings.
100%. So it's funny because I keep having these experiences, like doing stuff you're talking about, and then I kind of push it out of my head. For instance, a very easy one is the other week, I had a list of tasks to do, and I just couldn't get anything done in the morning. Like I was trying, and it was just, I was like kind of this anxious mess. And my friends were like, hey, you want to go to lunch? And I'm like, yeah, let's go to lunch. And then afterwards, like, you guys want to go to the beach? And so and I'm like, I should go back and do my stuff, but I wasn't feeling it. So we went to the beach, and then I got back finally, and I knocked everything out in like an hour and a half, which I spent 3 hours in the morning and didn't make any like I didn't make wouldn't make a dent in it. And this kind of thing happens over and over again. A lot of times, 2 to 5 o'clock for me is the worst time to do stuff productive. So that's why I was like, can we push it to 1? Because then at least I had the morning. Push it to 1 to record this. I had the morning if I needed to get stuff done. But then what I've been doing is like 2 to 5 o'clock, and you saw this on the Instagram stories, go down to the beach. If like I'm burnt out, I'll go down to the beach and I'll feel crappy. I'll just feel like depressed isn't like totally like a sponge that's been wrung out, and I'm just like, I have nothing left. And I'll lay down there for like an hour or two, maybe listen to some music, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm human again. Like I feel like a real person. And if I wouldn't let myself do that, it would just keep dragging.
Right. So that was one thing I would say I learned in my 20s was learn how to just accept how you're feeling. I think there was something we said earlier, but I forget what it was, about like growing up playing football and this and that. Like you're beating yourself up about it, which is why we take it out on our girlfriends. Sure. Because that's how we are in this patriarchal society where we shove that part of us that just wants to chill. We shove it away and go, no, you always have to do better. Like go run in the hot heat without water. It's good for you. Builds character. Sure. Like, wait, what? Yeah. But like we do that naturally because of our culture. And, I think we're learning naturally also to come out of that slowly but surely, some of us faster than others. But don't ever feel guilty. Don't ever feel not good enough. Yeah. Be grateful for where you're at. Acknowledge that I could do better. This is where I'm at right now.
Well, so here's something I've been struggling with and this is the social media world of, I see people on YouTube, for instance, that I think have worse content than me, that I think...
got way more...
Yeah, way more followers, making tons of money, and I'm like, but it's not always... Sometimes it makes me feel real bad, to be honest, but then sometimes it's just like, I could be making... I should be doing better, and so it's this... I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but it's just like seeing this stuff and being like, I'm not doing enough.
Well, go back to your intention. That's all I would say, because I know we're very different in the sense of why we have a YouTube channel, for example. And there was a spell for me where it was about followers, and it was about getting myself out there and building a following. And, making money would be cool. That wasn't my primary goal. And then I got too stressed out about it. You asked about Snapchat. I used to do a lot of Snapchat, this and that. And to an extent, I miss it, because I miss connecting with people. And that's why I started doing my own new podcast thing that is kind of fizzling away. I told myself, okay, the intention here is to start talking for 20 minutes every 2 weeks or so, and whoever hears it and comments, good. If only one person gets something out of it, my intention is good. Yeah. If one person comments and goes, hey, that's really cool, how did you start traveling or whatever, and I get to talk to someone, that's what my intention is. Mm-hmm. So I set my bar really low.
So the bar is high for me, but it's similar. My goal my goal is to help someone create a performance newsletter. I mean, to be actually quite specific, it's by, I think what's like probably April of 2020 to have at least, I think 3 to 5 people that have created a passion product and have passive income from it.
So your intention is to support people in their own endeavors.
Yeah.
Right. So remember what that means, your intention. And so then once you focus on that part of it, you forget about the numbers, the money coming in, the followers, and then you realize, no, I'm doing this to I don't like saying help people, but to collaborate with people to be better at what they're doing that you have expertise in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's about.
My real thing is, I wish, what I want to do is go back 5 years ago and help that person, help me 5 years ago. And obviously that's not possible with time travel, but I can do it by, passing it on to someone that's stuck in their corporate job. And I'm like, hey, this is what I wish I would have known. Like, there's so much bullshit on YouTube. There's so many people that are selling some kind of get-rich-quick scheme. And, there's probably even been some videos where I'm kind of selling that idea. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to tell people, this is how you actually make a real business. And I want to help someone really, get that passive income, basically. Yeah. But the problem, I think, where I struggle with it is I'm not going to see it. There's not, like, good progress. Like, one day, all of a sudden, someone's going to say, hey, I created this company, and it's because of you. But up until then, it's like nothing. And maybe I'll get I get messages from people every once in a while saying, oh, thanks so much. But then I'm like, they kind of drop off. And I'm like, well, what happened? Like, I want to hear the story.
Yeah, it's kind of like affirmation from the world that what you're doing is working, so to speak.
Yeah.
I had this one kid, he was probably 18 when he messaged me on Snapchat, saw my weed videos or whatever. A lot of these people see my weed videos, and then they go through more of my travel, and they see that my videos, they see I'm a traveler, I'm, kind of spiritual, I do yoga, whatever. And so different people contact me for different reasons, but this one kid, shout out to Kevin, just told me about a situation, leaving after high school, just bought a, motorcycle. And I was like, go to Hawaii, dude. He's like, yeah, well, I see you were in Maui or whatever. Like, I've always wanted to go there. I'm like, go to Big Island. For where the state you're in, like, in life, go to Big Island. You'll figure it out there. Sure enough, he goes there. He, like, meets this girl. He ends up going to Austria to stay with her. Starts traveling, got all this confidence, learned that he didn't need to stress out about money as much, and it would figure itself out. And, like, now we're buds. I never got to meet him on Big Island, unfortunately, but we've stayed in touch. And it's just, like, it makes me feel so good. And there's a few people like him, but he's like the one that gets me the most stoked because I think he contacts me every now and then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he actually might be down south. Now that I remember, he messaged me recently. Yeah. But yeah, just I know what you mean. Getting affirmation that what you're putting out there is worth it.
So, and this will probably end up leading into another lesson learned. But so I had a guy, and I'm sure I've helped some people. I had someone message me from the How to Do Your 20s podcast and basically say like, hey, you don't know, but like you were a major influence on my life. And I'm like, that's really cool. It just doesn't feel, I think because it was an email and like I didn't like, it wasn't like a real conversation. Like it didn't feel really real. But then I think about Tim Ferriss, for example, has completely changed my life. I've never emailed him. Like he's completely, transformed. There's been a few other people. I never email people when they transform my life.
Yeah, you just listen to it and that's it.
Yeah,
and
they
won't
like,
read it.
And the truth is like most people don't know that I read every email that comes in. So they're like, oh, this guy, he's not gonna read this stuff. So if you're out there, you can send me an email.
Well, I felt it was important to tell you, like when I walked into, I have been following you on Instagram, and a lot of it is inspiring stuff.
That's cool.
Or stuff I need to hear, and I like your 1 minute bleeps because I don't have time to watch YouTube videos. I don't watch anything really.
Yeah.
Especially educational stuff.
So you'll watch the stories like every once in a while.
I'll watch the stories, but your posts always pop up.
Oh, the 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah, and I like how you have a little bar across the screen that shows the length.
That's interesting. See, that was another thing that's like experimental, and I'm like, does anybody care about this? Like,
I think it's cool.
Okay.
No, it's cool content because you put. I like how it's not teaser either.
Yeah.
You put all the stuff in there. I like the Upwork one because I just started using Upwork.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, interesting fact about that. I filmed the YouTube videos, and I script those really well. My VA completely makes the 1 minute video.
I figured.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I figured.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I went in there, I could make them more artistic or
I
whatever.
think they're pretty good.
Are they good?
Yeah, for
That's
what they
awesome.
need to be. It's Instagram, and it's about the consistency of your content. It's not about making this art video about
that's
fucking e-commerce.
Yeah, and for me, I don't like Instagram that much. But I'm already making these YouTube videos. I need some kind of content.
People dig it, and sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's
for someone
awesome.
like me, Instagram is either hot girls or people that do have a cool, unique skill that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And you do something that is also in my realm, kind of. I like yogis on Instagram because I'm a yogi. Sure. I don't like dudes or even women, particularly all spiritual and talking to. I can't stand that. Right. I like looking at yoga. Yeah. But I do like hearing someone like you talk because I have something to learn from it. So in that sense, Instagram doesn't feel like it's a big waste of time.
It's really cool to hear you say that, because to be honest, I put out the stuff on Instagram, I assume no one's watching. Like, that's just how it feels. Yeah. Like, I'm sure you've had moments in your life with Snapchat where, you put out stuff, maybe you had like a week and no one responds or something, and you're like, does anyone even care? That's how it feels on Instagram to me. I'm just like, okay. But then every once in a while I have friends that say, oh yeah, I really like your content. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So that's cool to hear.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure you knew because, I haven't started a product of any sort, let alone a passion product. I'm not following exactly, but I feel like I'm learning a lot from just the way you do things.
That's cool to hear. Yeah, that is interesting. Because I work, or a lot of people email me that are doing different than what I'm doing. They're still doing e-commerce stuff, but I'm kind of like, oh, my message is lost. But you're right. I mean, I'm still helping them out, hopefully.
Well, I've been, a little confession here, Travis. I feel like I've been waiting for the time, and it's still might not be the time, but I feel like I have a lot to work with you on, like to collaborate with you on, as far as what you've been developing and where I'm going. Like I said, I don't exactly have a product to sell, but I know as soon as it hits, it's going to be a big deal, and I know everything that you've been doing is gonna really support me. Whether however that unfolds and manifests. But like, I also feel like, because I'm a filmmaker and a documentarian, right? And I know you did your sort of business in 30 days.
Yeah.
I have to perform or something.
Which was terrible video quality, but yes. Yeah.
Well, that kind of thing, that's something that I would want to document. Like, hey, I have this really good idea for this really good product. I have a thing about products because it's like kind of wasteful, like plastic, this and that. But the thing about food, especially if it's healthy food, that's something that actually affects humans on like literally internal level.
Yeah.
So like, that's why P&B is really cool, because it actually does affect the vibe of a society, especially on like a mass. I read a book by the Whole Foods CEO, Conscious Capitalism.
Oh, I should check that out. Okay.
Yeah, which it's kind of nonsense because it's just a book that, the CEO of Whole Foods wrote it. But it is a good book in the sense that, capitalism and the free market is designed so like if you're successful, you have an influence on society. Look how many Whole Foods are everywhere now.
Tons.
And I think Whole Foods is kind of a joke in a lot of senses because there's still a lot of bullshit in there. The packaged products, which they say it's all healthy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's brought to mind, like, hey, let's be more conscious about what we're eating.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I just feel like one day, or maybe it's just my fantasy, my imagination, but I feel like there's going to be a lot to take home from what I've been learning from you, and like that course you're going to start, like that kind of thing. And like, I want to kind of give back by saying, okay, here's my experience using your process here. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, I'm happy, obviously, any way I can help. One thing, because I don't know how much time we have left. If you were to go back, like what, I mean, we've kind of been doing it obviously throughout the whole episode, but what advice would you have? Like I wrote up my 21 points. Yeah. Like if you had some points, like what would be, you're like, man, this is like a big thing.
Yeah, well, as someone that's kind of coming out of the phase of doing them as frequently as intense, I would say do drugs, kids, in your 20s. I don't mean drugs, but I mean like expand your consciousness, explore. And even if it's a bad decision, it's like we were saying earlier, if you're feeling called to do something, you're being called to do it for a reason. I considered myself a total alcoholic in my 20s. I drank so much and I made some bad decisions. I could have made worse. I'm a pretty responsible guy though. And some bad things happened as far as I consider bad. And sometimes it's been tough to like reflect on those years you know, but a lot of times they come up and they make me feel kind of, you know, shaky, like I haven't dealt with them yet, you know, but I've been working on that, and I can learn to be grateful for it because of how much I've learned from it. And instead of feeling guilty about, you know, maybe the way I treated someone, you know, 5-6 years ago, instead I can look like, wow, like it's interesting how it all plays out. So when I say do drugs, I really just mean like explore and do things that you might feel curious about. Don't force things, but be curious and allow yourself to be curious. And even if you fuck up, don't hate yourself for it. Don't blame yourself for it. Just don't hurt other people when you fuck up.
Yeah.